Transactional analysis. The unit of social intercourse is called a transaction. If two or more people encounter each other in a social aggregation, sooner or later one of them will speak, or give some other indication of acknowledging the presence of the others. This is called the transactional stimulus. Another person will then say or do something which is in some way related to this stimulus, and that is called the transactional response. Simple transactional analysis is concerned with diagnosing which ego state implemented the transactional stimulus, and which one executed the transactional response. The simplest transactions are those in which both stimulus and response arise from the adults of the parties concerned. The agent, estimating from the data before him that a scalpel is now the instrument of choice, holds out his hand. The respondent appraises this gesture correctly, estimates the forces and distances involved, and places the handle of the scalpel exactly where the surgeon expects it. Next in simplicity are child-parent transactions. The fevered child asks for a glass of water, and the nurturing mother brings it. Both these transactions are complementary, that is, the response is appropriate and expected and follows the natural order of healthy human relationships. The converse of cross-transaction type 1 is illustrated in figure. This is the counter-transference reaction familiar to psychotherapists, in which the patient makes an objective, adult observation, and the therapist crosses the vectors by responding like a parent talking to a child. This is cross-transaction type 2. In everyday life, do you know where my cufflinks are? Melissa, why don't you keep track of your own things? You're not a child anymore. The relationship diagram in figure, showing the 9 possible vectors of social action between an agent and a respondent, has some interesting geometrical, topological, qualities. Complementary transactions between psychological equals are represented by 1 to 1, 5 to 5, and 9 to 9. There are 3 other complementary transactions, 2 to 4, 4 to 2, 3 to 7, 7 to 3, and 6 to 8, 8 6. All other combinations form cross-transactions, and in most cases these show up as crossings in the diagram. For example, 3 to 7, 3 to 7, which results in 2 speechless people glaring at each other. If neither of them gives way, communication is finished and they must part. The most common solutions are for one to yield and take, 7 to 3, which results in a game of up or better, 5 to 5, in which case they both burst out laughing or shake hands. Simple complementary transactions most commonly occur in superficial working and social relationships, and these are easily disturbed by simple cross-transactions. In fact, a superficial relationship may be defined as one which is confined to simple complementary transactions. Such relationships occur in activities, rituals and pastimes. More complex are ulterior transactions, those involving the activity of more than 2 ego states simultaneously, and this category is the basis for games. Salesmen are particularly adept at angular transactions, those involving 3 ego states. A crude but dramatic example of a sales game is illustrated in the following exchange. Salesman, this one is better, but you can't afford it. Housewife, that's the one I'll take. The analysis of this transaction is shown in figure. The salesman, as adult, states 2 objective facts. This one is better and you can't afford it. At the ostensible, or social, level these are directed to the adult of the housewife, whose adult reply would be, you are correct on both counts. However, the ulterior, or psychological, Vector is directed by the well-trained and experienced adult of the salesman to the housewife's child. The correctness of his judgment is demonstrated by the child's reply, which says in effect, regardless of the financial consequences, "I'll show that arrogant fellow I'm as good as any of his customers." At both levels the transaction is complementary, since her reply is accepted at face value as an adult purchasing contract.